we live in Florida, we're lucky to have an abundant source of groundwater below our feet. Unfortunately, Florida's water table can become contaminated by chemicals and microbes that can cause illness. Well owners should be aware of these potential risks and how to protect their private water source. We're going to learn more about properly maintaining and testing your drinking water well, and to help us out is David Overfield from the Environmental Public Health Division of the Florida Department of Health in Orange County. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Annette.
So what we've heard is we don't have basements in Florida because the aquifer is too close to the surface, but we do have wells. Good thing, bad thing?
Yeah, so interesting thing. So depending on which part of Florida you live in, you may actually have a basement, but like you said, most of us do not. Under the surface of Florida, there are several layers of different aquifer. So there's shallow aquifers, a middle aquifer, and a very deep aquifer. So it's these aquifers, generally the surficial, that most drinking water wells go into, slightly below that sometimes. But we're fortunate here in the state of Florida that we have an abundance of fresh water. And that's why a number of water companies will actually move to the state of Florida
because of the water quality.
Yep, for bottled water.
So if you have a well, what are some of the things you should make sure you're doing to make sure the water is safe to drink?
So the first thing that we would recommend is that at least once a year you get a bacterial sample done on that well. So what a resident can do is come to our office, which is located at 1001 Executive Center Drive, and pick up a sample bottle. They'll pull a sample from their well, they'll bring the sample back to us. The cost for the sample is $49. Now that's what we pay for sampling, but we'll take that sample to the lab, and the lab will be able to determine if the well has been contaminated with bacteria or not. And
if it is, then what happens?
So if a well has become contaminated with bacteria, the first thing to do is to sanitize the well. So the way a homeowner can do that is you pour about 32 ounces of liquid pool bleach down the wellhead, and then you turn your spigots on inside your house one at a time for about 2 minutes. This will allow that chlorinated water to go through those spigots, and then once you've done that, you open up the spigot next to the well for about 30 minutes.
So there's a procedure for doing that. You said something interesting earlier to me before we started taping. A lot of people don't know they have wells and septic systems. How is that possible?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting that we'll have a number of people that don't realize it. They either maybe didn't come from an area where they had wells or septic systems, and they don't really realize that there's a huge portion of our population that still has wells and septic systems here in Orange County.
So how do you find out if you have a well or a septic system?
So the easiest way to know, and at least if you're on OUC, is to look at your utility bill. So if you look at your utility bill and you don't see a charge for water, you don't see a charge for sewer, you probably have a well and a septic system. Now, septic systems are a little harder. Usually wells have enough equipment above ground that you might not know what that is, but you have something probably in your yard that you can see.
Do a lot of people convert to wells?
So if city water is available, you're actually not allowed to put in a well.
Okay.
You are required to use city water, except for irrigation, and that's you know, a different type of well. But that's something that both wells and septic systems, if sewer's available, you connect to sewer.
Okay.
And if city water's available, you connect to city water.
And as we spread out, as development spreads out more, do you see more people who have wells?
Yes, that's definitely a trend, because as we go further east and further west with our rural settlements, the infrastructure, the city sewer and city water lines have not kept up. So there's a high likelihood that you would be on septic and well.
And if you are, there are some things, some basic things that you need to know. How do people find out the care of a well and septic system if you've never had one?
Mm-hmm. So really the care for a well is we recommend that you get a bacteriological sample once a year. Now, if you wanted to, you could also add lead and nitrate, but we recommend at a minimum a bacterial sample.
And they can call your office to find out the process, the steps to make that happen?
The steps would be they just come to the office and pick up a sample bottle.
Okay.
Now,
you make it easy.
Yeah, we make it easy. We try to make it easy. And then we provide the results. And if the results come back you know, with a presence of bacteria, then we'll go through the steps to actually decontaminate that well.
So what I'm hearing is education is key to, number one, know whether you have a well or septic system. Number two, to know how to test it to make sure your water is healthy, and go pick up that kit. Well, David, thank you for a very educational segment.
Oh, my pleasure.
To ensure that your private water supply is safe and healthy, you should understand the importance of maintaining your own well and water system and perform those routine water quality tests. If you suspect your drinking water may be contaminated, call the Environmental Public Health Program at the Florida Department of Health in Orange County. That number is 407-858-1497. To learn more, visit orangefloridahealth.gov.